Good afternoon, teacher. We are talking about intimidate partner violence. My name is Patricia Ortega. Introduction. Intimidate partner violence is a serious preventable public health problem that affects millions of Americans. The term intimidate partner violence describes physical violence, sexual abuse, stalking, and physical harm by a current or former parent or spouse. This type of violence can occur among heterosexual or same-sex couples and doesn't require sexual intimacy. What is intimidate partner violence? Intimidate partner violence is abuse or aggression that occurs in a romantic relationship. Intimidate partner refers to both current or former spouse and dating partners. IPV can vary in how often it happens and how severe is it. It can range from one episode of violence that could have lasting impact to chronic and severe episodes over multiple years. IPV can include any of the following types of behaviors. Physical violence is when a person hurts or tries to hurt partner by hitting, kicking, or using another type of physical force. Sexual violence is forcing or attempting to force a partner to take a part in a sex act, sexual touching, or a non-physical sexual event when the partner doesn't or cannot consent. Stalking. Stalking is a partner or repeat unwanted attention and contact by the partner that causes fear of concern for one of safety of someone close to the victim. Psychological aggression. Psychological aggression is the use of verbal and non-verbal communication with the intent to harm another person mentally or emotionally and to exert control over another person. IPV is connected to other forms of violence and is related to serious health issues and economic consequences. How is the big problem? IPV is common. It affects millions of people in the United States each year. Data from CDC, National Intimidate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey, indicate about in 1 of 4 women and nearly 1 in 10 men have experienced contact, sexual violence, physical violence, and stalking by an intimidate partner during their lifetime. and report some form of IPV-related impact. Over 43 million women and 38 million men have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Teen dating violence. IPV starts early and continues throughout the lifespan. When IPV occurs in adolescence, it's called teen dating violence. TDV affects millions of U.S. teens each year, about 100 million women and 5 million men who report experience contact sexual violence, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime say they first experienced this from the violence before the age of 18. What are the consequences? IPV is a significant public health issue that has many individual and societal costs. About 35% of female IPV survivors and more than 11% of male IPV survivors experience some form of physical injury related to IPV. IPV can also result in death. Data from United States crime report suggests that about 1 in 5 homicide victims are killed by an intimate partner. The report also found that over half of female homicide victims in the United States are killed by the current or former male intimate partner. There are also many others negative health outcomes associated with IPV. These include a range of conditions affecting the heart, digestive, reproduction, muscle and bones, and nervous system, many of which are chronic. Survivors can experience mental health problems such as depression and post-traumatic stress disorders. Symptoms: they are at higher risk from engaging in behavior such as smoking, binge drinking, and sexual risk behavior. Although the personal consequences of IPV are devastating, there are also many costs to society, to lifetime economy, costs associated with medical service for IPV-related injuries, lost productivity from paid work, criminal justice, and other costs was 3.6 trillion. The cost of IPV over a victim's lifetime was $1,367 for men and for women. How can we stop it before it starts? Promoting health, respectful, and non-violent relationships and community can help reduce the occurrence of IPV. It's also can prevent the harmful and long-lasting effect of HPV of individuals, families, and communities. CDC developed a technical package preventing intimidate partner violence across the lifespan, a policy and practice that includes multiple strategies and approach to prevent IPV. It also includes approach that provides support to survivor and lessen harm. The strategy and approach are meant to be used in combination with each other and many levels of society to prevent IPV. Different types of violence are connected and often share the same root cause. CDC preventing dating and youth violence by addressing shared risk and protective factors program funds 5 local health departments to engage in primary prevention activities to preventing dating violence and youth violence. Youth violence is a significant public health problem that affects thousands of young people each day, and it turns their family, school, and communities. Youth violence is an advanced childhood experience and is connected to other forms of violence, including child abuse and neglect, teen dating violence, adult intimidate partner violence, sexual violence, and suicide. The good news is youth violence is preventable. The ultimate goal is to stop youth violence before it starts. Thank you, teacher.
Good afternoon, Professor Fátima Sanchez. My name is Jaisa Fagundes. I go to talk about the different types of violence. Next slide. What is it? Inter-parent violence is commonly classified as physical violence, psychological violence, or sexual violence, depending on the nature of the violence action. Next slide. Physical violence is intentional use of physical force with the goal of causing disability, injury, or physical harm. The physical violence goes from minor assault to various slight, in potential to cause even death. In many cases, it involves psychological violence. Next slide. Strategy used during physical violence. Free of
unsatisfactory, used during physical violence, such as pushing, hair pulling, slapping, hitting, kicking, burning, torturing, and murder to cause fear, anxiety, terror, submission, and humiliation. Next is that. Now to talk about psychological violence. Here is the use of verbal or non-verbal acts that cause a person, or the use of verbs to force another person. It is a good of by the leaders that can use the terrorize the victim, which they not use physical force. Psychological violence has impact on the health and well-being of the victim. Recalls it is the mention of violence they saw wearing channel. Next slide. Methods used during psychological violence: economic abuse, isolation, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and harassment. These methods can cause economic independence, insecurity, low self-esteem, intimidation, fear, and anxiety. Next slide. Now, sexual violence. Sexual violence, which refers to an entire of non-consensual or forced sexual activity in an intimate relation. It consists of sexual relations without consent or choice, rape, sexual control, and also of sexual manipulation, made the intention of causing emotional, sexual, and physical degradation, the torture or the corruption. Next slide. Acts during sexual violence or abuse. Some acts that deal dispute during the deaths of violence are for sexual intercourse, rape, unfaithful or intermediate sexual acts to cause fear, anxiety, terror, submission, annihilation to the body. Next slide. In conclusion, as we have seen, there are different types of intimate violence. It is not only physical or also mental and emotional violence. It creates disorders to the victims. They suffer so much. They accused in the special and need the hurt happen every day around the world. Here you can see some of the sea contour that happens in intimate violence, isolation, emotional abuse, economic abuse, sexual abuse, initial approval, threats, domination, and intimidation. This needs to stop. Next slide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hello teacher, my name is Virginia Santos, career psychologist. Of intimacy, partners, violence of physical health. Partner violence is a risk factor for health, both physical and mental. The risk of domestic homicide for women increases. For sign in girls is intimate partner violence. Similarly, women are at higher risk than men of being murdered by their partners. That this homicide or suicide accounts for a year of causes of maternal mortality, while homicides in the various rounds of sleep during pregnancy. This is strongly associated with suppression of intimate partner violence. Studies found that in only 5% of suicide cases during pregnancy, there was the presence of intimate partner violence. Similarly, different studies and systematic reviews have found a consistent relationship between victimization by intimate partner violence and the presence of ideation and suicide attempts. Regarding traumatic injuries, it is intimate that 36 of partner victims violence victims have received traumatic injuries to his neck or face. Similarly, it was found that 75% of the women who were in foster care present symptoms compatible with the presence of traumatic brain injuries. Consequence of intimacy partners violence on children and in the social environment. Several studies in India have found an association between the presence of intimate partner violence and higher infant mortality in children under 5 years of age, especially in the case of daughters. Exposure to intimate partners violence is associated in some with the presence of emotional and behavioral problems and with post-traumatic stress symptoms. The presence of externalization symptoms is associated with partner violence in the case of sons, while daughters tend to have more internalization symptoms. Another consequence that has been commonly associated with intimate partner violence is generational transmission of violence. That is, children who have witnessed intimate partner violence at home tend to be victims or perpetrators of intimate partner violence. Intimate partner violence also interferes with work performance. In fact, it has been suggested that it intervenes in basically 3 ways: direction of work-life harassment at work and performance problems. Consequence of intimate partners violence on mental health is focused in a wide variety of disorders such as post-traumatic stress disorder, depressive disorder, anxiety, eating disorder, or alcohol or drug abuse and dependence. Mental disorder and psychiatric treatment are 5 times more common in women victims of intimate partner violence than in the general population. This consequence of abuse on the mental health of women are complex and can offer a spirit of physics like from emotion to personality, including coping strategies, predominance of avoidance, and lack of emotional response to violence decreases. Assertiveness, self-concept, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, poor self-image, and the style of relationship with the world and the violence with aggression and distress distancing from others. Depressive disorder. The rest of presenting a major depressive episodes in women exposes to partner violence is 50 times higher than in unexposed women, while the rest of presenting depressive symptoms increases 1.5 and 2 times. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder encompasses a set of anxiety symptoms that occur after exposure to traumatic events and includes symptoms of the experiences, avoidance, and hyperarousal. The prevalence of PTSD in women exposed to intimate partner violence is approximately 64%, with a variation between studies from 31% to 84.4%. Battered women syndromes. Leonard Walker describes the battered woman syndrome in 1984 from an empirical study of truth interviews with 480 women victims of intimate partner violence victims. 1,978 and 1,981. The answer of intimate partner violence is usually subtle and insidious, based on an strategy of control, disqualification, and isolation. Learn episodes of physical aggressions user appears with a cyclical nature, interpersonal with moment or felt periods. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Women victims of intimate partner violence are subject to storage control that has the effect of inoculating fear and social isolation of the victim. The violence exerted by the abuser systematic, intentional, and uncontrollable for the victim. This type of violence causes effect of helplessness, accountability, and in more extreme case, effect of mental defeat, which refers to the perception of loss of identity, of dominance, and willingness to exercise control, maintain one's own identity, and belief in one's own identities, willingness to choose freely. Other disorders, apart from the crisis disorder and PTSD, intimate partner violence has been associated with the presence of substance use and abuse, other ancillary disorders, insomnia, and in general with a worse perceived mental health. The prevalence of alcohol abuse or difference in women exposed to intimate partners violence is 85%, while prevalence of substances abuse or dependence is 8.9%. The fewer represent approximately 5 times higher values than those expected in the general population of women.